Hello everyone, my name is Abdullah Sajad and welcome back to my tutorial series on Styly. So, Today what we are going to be looking at is how we can use Playmaker to change the default controller models of your virtual reality controllers and change them into whatever you want. So, to begin, let's just create an empty object which I have already created called Playmaker settings, and then create another empty object which is going to be controlling the setup of the controller and specifically the right controller. So let's just name it controller right. Okay, now we are to add an FSM into it, and let's just name it setup. Okay, so the basic idea behind this is that we want to access the right controller of our virtual reality product, whatever it may be. Maybe it's Windows Mixed Reality, Oculus Rift, or HTC Vive. So basically what you want to do is access the right controller, get its position and rotation, create a new model if you want to at that specific position and rotation, and then set this newly created object as a child of the controller so that whenever the controller moves, wherever it moves, the new model also follows. And then you want to delete the default controller model, or otherwise they would just overlap and that wouldn't make sense. Okay, so moving on, like I said, we first need to find the game object, the controller game object. So what we're going to do is simply going to type find game object. There it is. So add. So the name of the object that we're finding is controller right. So make sure that the object name that you write is controller right, and then we're simply going to store it in a new variable called controller object. Okay. So now that we have the object, let's find its position and rotation, and we can get that by get position and get rotation. Oh, I got two of those. Let's just remove one, add get position. Okay. Okay, so another thing you need to make sure is the order of these actions. The flow of Playmaker is from top to bottom, and we want this to be below find game object. Okay, so in both of these, we're going to specify a game object which we just created called controller object, and we want the Euler angles in get rotation. We create a new object called controller rotation, and minimize that, get its position, specify game object and controller object, and we want the vector. We could do that individually XYZ, but well, we have the vector, so we're going to create controller position. Okay, so now that we have both of these, we want to create an object at this rotation and position. So first, let's just create an object, and for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to make something simple. I'm going to name this controller new model and simply add a 3D object cube and just shrink it down a bit. Okay, so now we want to actually drag it back into the project to create a prefab out of it, and just delete it to make it look nice and clean. Okay, so what we're going to do is create an object So we need to specify what the object is which we want to create. So simply we are going to drag this object right here, and we're going to give it the position and the rotation, and then we're going to save this model because we want to set it as a child of the previously created controller object, so that whenever we move the controller, we this model also moves with it. So we're just going to name it controller new model, and now what we want to do is set the controller object as a parent for this object. Set parent. So the object we're talking about is, oops, the controller new model, and the parent is none other than the controller object. Okay, so till here we're done basically, but we also want to delete the default model of the controller, and to do that we need to get the child of the controller object. So controller get child, add. So the object we're talking about is controller object, and the name of the child is model. So also make sure that the spellings and the capital M, make sure that the name is exactly like this, because basically what Playmaker is doing is accessing Steam VR plugin of Unity, and then further the Steam VR plugin is operating our virtual reality devices in the scenes. So okay, so once we have the model, let's store it in a new variable called controller old model. Now that we have the model, we simply want to destroy it. Destroy. And what do we want to destroy? We want to destroy the controller old model. Okay, so I don't know if this is a bug or something. Okay, anyways, this is the basic setup of a controller. You can simply duplicate this object right here and create a controller right, and simply change this controller right to controller left, and that would also work for the left controller. Okay, so this is it. You can further confirm this by simply, okay, so one last step, we are simply supposed to drag this Playmaker object and create a prefab out of it, and then we can simply upload it via the Styly plugin, which you can get from its website right here. Simply press download and import it as a package, and you will have to set it up with your the key and your email, and you are set to go. And then simply upload it right here, and once it's uploaded, simply add it into your scene in the web editor of Styly. Then you can publish the scene and uh, check it out that the model is actually a different one. So let me just set the environment up. I am simply going to skip forward, and you can see the cube as the now default controller model. Okay, so wait a moment. Okay, so the model has been successfully uploaded, and now all you have to do is place it in an environment, in a scene, and open it up in Steam VR, and you're good to go. So thank you for listening in, and I will be returning with some more tutorials soon. Goodbye.